Been doing these episodes for years and just thank everybody. We've been doing quite a bit with some new trustees that are enrolled, and we just started the second quarter and has been a kick butt month so far. Things are going really, really well, and we got a bunch of families that are enrolled right now and really want to talk to those families. We were invited to do a training this past weekend, and there was a conflict of interest. And the reason why it's a conflict of interest is because there's a job mentality versus a trustee mentality, and we want to make this very clear for people that reach out to trustee training, people that are enrolled in trustee training, trustees that have been in trustee training, and trustees that have engaged in the training program. So, how does this conversation go? Well, we sit in conversations with trustees, families, individuals, and there is a thought process. And the thought process is going to be the determining factor on how successful you are in trusteeship. And partially it's because the way people have been trained and the way people have been programmed. And so we want to cover that today in this particular episode where we go over how many families do not properly understand that there is a conversion in mindset that has to happen, or there has to be a pervading mindset that has to pervade. Otherwise, failure is inevitable. And we know this because we sit in the rooms with families that are already generations deep in trusteeship, and they make us very aware that it does not pass the second generation 70% of the time because there's not proper management tools in place. There's not proper managers in place. And that just lends to the mindset of the individuals, trustees or otherwise, that are managing the family estate, the trustees in general. We get quite a few trustees that come through the training program that are very eager to learn. It all starts out very, very exciting. And then they get to this word that one of our mentors made us very aware that you do not want to become with trusteeship or anything for that nature in life, which is enamored. People get in trusteeship, they have a job mentality, they take a job mentality towards trusteeship, and then they wonder why they're enamored. They wonder why they're what people call themselves overwhelmed. How are you overwhelmed for something that you want to do? Is that a natural feeling, trust Christian? It's not. It means that people are fearing the work that they know that they may not want to do now. It is a form of fear. Oh, I'm enamored. I'm overwhelmed. Anxiety, these different things. Trustees, we are talking to the emotional components of trusteeship. Things that no one addresses when I want to trust Christian. Oh, you do. But then the management of it is what you didn't want. The everyday management of it is not what you wanted because that's what you're overwhelmed with. You're overwhelmed with the fact that you have to take responsibility, you have to manage a calendar, and you have to work your plan. You have to plan your work and work your plan. You have to make adjustments as a trustee. And a job, you go to work, you show up, you get a salary. In trusteeship, you don't get a salary. Why do we got to keep saying this to trustees? How am I going to get paid, trust Christian? That's what they're secretly thinking and asking. How do I get paid as a trustee? How do I benefit from this, trust Christian? But you're supposed to be a trustee. I thought you were setting up something for the next generation. So how is it still about you and how you're going to get yours right now? Because that's what you're thinking about. And are we saying that's wrong? That's a job mentality. Job mentality means we show up. I showed up, trust Christian. I got into trust Christian. I gotta trust. Y'all want to know how you know you got a job mentality? Because you keep saying you gotta trust. I have a trust. I have this. I own this. Job mentality. It's public programming. You came from the public side. Oh, I've been trained my whole life to own something. Can't own anything. I've been trained my whole life to own this and own that. And I'm liable for everything and this and that. And I haven't converted my mindset yet. I gotta convert my mindset. I gotta reprogram myself. And it's so overwhelming. But I said I wanted to be a trustee. I wanted to build generational wealth. I want to be in the 1%. I want to be in the 5% that doesn't have to work their whole life and be a slave to someone else's job, someone else's calendar. You said you wanted it. They said they wanted it. Trust Christian in the vault. Said they wanted it real bad. Oh, matter of fact, they didn't say they wanted it. Now let's go to the ones that I have a trust Christian. I have a trust Christian in the vault. I have a trust. Do you when y'all want us to keep repeating? I have a trust. I have this. You got a job. I'm trying to figure out how to take my job mentality to the trust mentality so I could do it all myself. Because I don't trust nobody, trust Christian in the vault. I don't trust people. How you going to build something you don't trust something? We got trustees all the way at the foundation level. I don't trust people. How can you build with other foundation trustees if you don't trust people? The word is a trust. You have to trust people. That's the reason why there is a complete culture that has failed at this because they do not trust themselves. They don't trust their culture. And in turn, they don't trust people. And because they don't trust people, they can't get outside of their culture or their race to trust other people to do business and build generational wealth for their family. There's an entitlement mentality that we're not talking against, but we're making people aware of. There is an entitlement mentality. I should get something. I'm in trust Christian. Now the gates of wealth are supposed to fall on me because I'm in trust, so I'm going to be generational wealthy. And we still sit in the rooms and we're sharing with you all that 70%, even after you're in trust, 70% after you and your children, third generation, the second gen doesn't even see it. 70% chance of failure to not pass it along. All the hard work you think you did or did, it's not passed along. Oh man, I worked hard. What was the point of doing this generational wealth thing? What's the point of doing generational wealth if it's going to fail in two generations 70% of the time? Because they had a job mentality. This is a breed. In our sector, they call it a pedigree. Really, Josh Christian involved? They call it a pedigree. There are many terms in our sector that people are not aware of. Job mentality versus trustee. Job mentality is, oh man, Judge Christian, I'm not going to be consistent with my training. Well, people, we're just going to share with y'all some sentiment from Trust Christian in the Vault, our experience, how it feels. So, Trust Christian, we've been doing this for a while, 5, 6 plus years, 7 plus years, 8 plus years now. And what we've seen in our experience that the family estate has to invest heavy amounts of money into education for the trustees. That means you go to workshops, you invest in one-on-ones with people like Trust Christian or the Vault, you invest in one-on-ones with people that Trust Christian or the Vault put you in contact with, the Vault will put you in contact with. You invest in the private education, it's the mentorship, it's the education. Well, last year we were thinking about a conference to go to, been consistent going to this conference. Sometimes you get to the point where you're like, man, when are we going to crack this code? When are we going to not have to work for money? When are you going to be in a position where you don't have to work for money, but money is working for you? When are you going to put yourself in a position where the business is working for you? Everybody wants to talk about passive income. Everybody on the internet wants to talk about residual income, but in all actuality, there has to be some asset in place for that to even happen. And otherwise, people are living off of air. They're living off of a fugazi. They're living off something that's not accurate, ladies and gentlemen. If you're living off of an asset, that means you have an asset to live off. People have to build these assets. Sometimes you can build assets, you can acquire assets. There's many ways to have an asset under your control. Asset under management, AUM. Now we've converted to a trustee mentality. When is that going to really pervade? When is that going to kick in for us, Trust Christians involved? And that was something that we were thinking about last year. We've been in a room with a lot of one percenters for a long time now, basically. And what you find and you see is that they're always willing to help, always willing to grow because there's a big gap between the haves and the have-nots. And the haves are looking to have more haves with them. And so when you get in a room with haves, they're patient with you because they're not going anywhere. They have it. They have it at an extremely high level. And so when you're sitting there, ladies and gentlemen, in a room with the haves, we just want to make it very clear. You have to be around the haves. Job mentality says, why would I go around the haves if I don't have it all? Exactly. And so we're going to tell you about the inflection point for trust Christian. Because you get to the point where you say, you know what? We have to, whew, you have to stay in student mentality. You have to stay in learning mode. It's just, it's not about the money, ladies and gentlemen. We've cracked the code because when you hear, oh, well, if a wealthy person lost their money, could they make it back faster if they lost it? And traditionally, we do. Why? Because along the path of failure, you learn lessons, and that's what it's all about. So, is it more about the success, or is it about the failure, or is it about the lessons? And what we see is about the lessons, ladies and gentlemen. So, we made it a point to always double down on our education over at the family estate, and that has paid massive dividends. Massive dividends meaning that people don't end up doing business with you because you have money. They do business with you because they see that you're consistent in what you're doing. Consistency is something that they buy because wealthy people are consistent at things. Simple as that. They're consistent. When you're consistent at showing up for learning, they understand that you're consistent in other things in your life, and they understand it's just a matter of time before you keep consistently using learning the information to implement the information to execute the information. It takes time to build up the confidence in the information, so you have to learn the information. We see some trustees, they come through, they get in trust and they didn't want to learn trusteeship. And that's why they're going to fail. That's why they're failing in trusteeship because they're not focused on learning the practical steps to be a trustee. They're focused on, oh, I got to trust. Do you hear the mentality? I have a trust. That's all they were excited about. That's what they talk about. I have a trust. Then they get quiet because they find out now, oh, wow, I got to change my speech. And the people at my job, they don't speak the way that I speak. The people for 8 hours that I'm around, they don't support my trustee vision. They don't support my family estate vision. They don't just support my mentality as a trustee. You're around people possibly for 8 hours of your day that are not supporting the trust G vision. And in turn, that's a conflict of interest. No, Trust Christian. So is it that detrimental? It's like pouring dirt into a cup of water and you're doing your best to drink clean water. No, Trust Christian, don't say it like that. Everybody has to make a transition. Didn't you have a job? Didn't you work a job? Didn't you work for somebody's family estate? How long did it take you to convert? Instead of it being about you and your estate and when you're going to get off of your job. Then, when you get into trusteeship, do you have a job, which means you get paid job salary, or are you a trustee and just a servant? Because the trust document can't drive the company car. So it's not a question of, oh, wow, how is a car going to get us around in our lifestyle? Why? Because you can't do business on behalf of the trust if you're a trustee, possibly without a vehicle or some form of transportation. Oh, no, Trust Christian, it seems so complex. It's so much to learn, Trust Christian involved. Well, when you get in trusteeship, you're going to learn for the rest of your life. When people get jobs, they learn what they need to learn, and they're almost done learning about 90 days in. Oh, I know what I need to do, Trust Christian involved. 90 days in, I know. 90 days in. 90 days in. I know everything I need to know about this job. And I'm not learning anything new on this job right now, Trust Christian. I've been here for years. What do you think about that, ladies and gentlemen? Have you learned anything on your job? We have a question that we have to answer every single day as a trustee at the vault, which is, what did you learn today? Think about that. How many people walk away from their job every day before they leave their job and they have to answer the question, what did you learn new today? Think about how many people wouldn't keep working a job. Why would they keep working? Sometimes they would say, oh man, I done filled out, I done had to answer this question 2 or 3 days in a row and I don't have an answer. I've been went 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, plus, 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 and I don't have an answer to what did I learn on my job. But in trusteeship, people get in trusteeship. Oh man, I gotta learn something new. We asked the trustee the other day, did you listen to anything that pertains to trusteeship or read anything or double down on your family estate for education in the past 24 hours? Answer was no. We said the last 48 hours. They said no. We said the last 72 hours. We said no. But we could also ask them, did you go to your job for another family estate for the past 72 hours? And they would say yes. So it's about importance. It's about your programming. Have you been programmed just to get up with an alarm clock and go to a job? Or have you been programmed, or are you reprogramming yourself? Reprogramming yourself. You're reprogramming yourself. You through the information. The information is what's going to free you. How you going to be free if you work in a job? How you going to be free if you just come home and you cut on the TV? How you going to be free? It's the same habit. Oh man, Trust Christian, I keep doing the same thing I did because I had a job. So I'm gonna do everything I did in the job in trusteeship, and I'm gonna think it's gonna work. And it's not. You can't be in trusteeship with a job mentality. You're gonna fail. Oh, Trust Christian, well, why you gotta say it like this now? Isn't it? Can it be easy? Can it be a little smooth transition? Think about this. How many generations deep have you been without a trust? How many generations deep have you been with lack of training? It's time to dive in, feet first, head first. Learn the information so it can free you, so you can be a full-time trustee and not thinking about where the money is going to come from. Oh man, Trust Christian Vault, the money, man. I'm building generational wealth, but I got financial limits on my thinking. I don't know how I'm going to pay for this or pay for that instead of focusing on creating an income stream to pay for it. Trustee mentality says we have to have a growth mindset. That means when we encounter a challenge financially, we have to figure out a way to grow and pay for the change that we want, the growth that we want. We have to find a new income stream. We have to do research and development on new ways to how to grow the income stream instead of sit around and say, oh, well, I don't know that. I didn't know that. I don't know how to do that. Well, you got to read that and read about that. Why do you gotta say it like that, Trust Christian? Because there's a job mentality and there's a trustee mentality. It's that simple. That's how jobs sound. Oh, on the weekend, Trust Christian. How hard is it to conduct a weekly trustee meeting? That shows you people have a job mentality. It is hard to have 52 meetings in a year. It's hard to have 25 meetings in a year. It's hard to have a quarterly meeting in a year. It's not hard. It is the work that people do not want to do. They're already working a job. Why would I want to do something for my family estate? Why would I want to go do something for our family once a week? Why would we do that bi-weekly Trust Christian Vault? Why would we do that monthly Trust Christian Vault? Why would we do that? Because you've been programmed. You have to reprogram yourself into doing those things. Just like a job has programmed you to say, hey, look, I'm going to show up because I can't get fired, because if I get fired, then I can't pay my bills. That's what the job has programmed people into thinking. If I don't have a job, I won't pay my bills. You get out into never, ever, ever ending land of having to provide for yourself. Not an entitlement mentality. Job mentality versus trustee. I'm going to do everything this week, but do what? Have a weekly trustee meeting. I'm going to do everything this week except for what? Have a minute that we've created for the family estate. It's so hard, Trust Christian Vault. I'm going to go do everything else but unify with our family estate, perpetuating wealth for generations. It's a joke, Trust Christian. I know it's a joke. That's why I'm going to do everything else. That's why I'm going to go work my job. It's not real for me. I haven't visualized enough of the scene of me being successful in trusteeship yet. I haven't visualized it, Trust Christian. I don't know what it looks like for me to be in trusteeship. That's why they don't have questions. Oh, I don't have questions. I only have two questions. Two? Right. You're not learning anything at work and you're not learning anything in trusteeship because you're not studying trusteeship. So, how would you have learned anything to even speak or ask about it? You don't have a need for it because you're not doing any. You don't have a need for it because you're not learning anything. When you read some information, if you're not aware or clear on it, you ask questions. How do you not have questions? Because you have a job mentality. Because there's not a progressive learning mentality, a growth mentality. It's a entitlement mentality. Sit around and wait for somebody to give them the answers. They're gonna watch the news. How you gonna watch the news to be successful when the news is old? They have to prepare their speech a day in advance. It's old information. The information that's more relevant is coming from the people that are in the industry that you're in and getting it from them horse's mouth. You go to the experts, as they call them. Actually, the people that can show you work right now. They're showing you fruit on the tree. We've done that at the vault for years. We've had workshops. We did our best to bring a few testimonials. We even brought professionals. Ladies and gentlemen, we associate what you call the 1%. How can you say you want to be in the 1% as a trustee? You want to have a 1% family estate from this point forward, but you're using job mentality by not associating with the 1%. But you say you want to be a 1%er. You have the 1% thought process. How do you have a 1% thought process with a job mentality? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Not just Christian, but I just started this. I'm figuring it out. I don't know where to start. I got a lot going on. I'm overwhelmed. Right. It's called just take a breather and just read something and stay consistent. That's it. The expectation is the expectation that you set on yourself. The expectation is the expectation that the trust has for the trustees. The expectation is the the trustees' expectations of the other trustees and trustees in general of themselves, or the trustees of the estate. Job. Sunday trustee training, job versus trustee. So many come in a trusteeship thinking about themselves, which is a job. How am I gonna get mine? Instead of thinking about the next generation. And whether y'all know it or not, just by you thinking about the next generation, you're automatically going to be taken care of. But why is it so hard to grasp Trust Christian in the vote? Because you're not studying. I don't want to read. Where am I going to start? I don't read books. Our culture doesn't read books. I don't have time to read a book. Trust Christian in the vault. We don't have time to read books at the vault. We listen to them. We can't make excuses. Trustee mentality. Job mentality. Oh man, Trust Christian, I drive to work 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour plus. I live in California, I drive over an hour to work every single day. And I didn't study any trust information for a whole hour. Trust Christian, right now I'm building a business. I'm an entrepreneur, Trust Christian in the vault. Oh yeah, we gonna go to y'all. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur, Trust Christian in the vault. Oh yeah? And I drive around in my vehicle. And I'm not studying trust information for my family estate. I'm not listening to trustee conversations. Where do those conversations come from, Trust Christian Vote? That's what we need to know. You're telling us the problem that we're not doing. We know we're not studying. We need to study more. So where do we start? Trustees will come through the vault and say, oh, Trust Christian Vote, I listen to almost every episode you ever created. Trust Christian Vote, I reached out for a consultation. Christian at trustchristian.com. That's the email you can reach out to us with. Christian at trustchristian.com. Trustee mentality, we are okay with making mistakes. We want to make this very clear right now. We are okay with making mistakes. So many people are not okay with making mistakes. How you going to be successful if you don't make mistakes? I mean, at one point when you become so far down the road of being making mistakes, you just learn that mistakes are just as equal as a success, because at one point it's more about the process than it is about the end. And interestingly enough, how are you going to get to the end if you don't make mistakes sometimes? A mistake is a feedback, a learning mechanism. Trustees are aware of that. Trustees understand that. Trustees actually feed off of that. Trustees actually lean into that. Trustees are learning to find out what does failure truly mean and what does success truly mean. Job mentality, I'm just going to show up. Trustees show up because they got in trust. Trust Christian, I have a trust. Job mentality. Trust Christian, I'm in trusteeship. I have a trust Christian, so I'm good now. My assets are protected. Oh, really? Who's your successor? Shh. Hold on. Let's say it again. Who's your successor? Shh. Who have you identified as your successor? Shh. No, don't do that, Trust Christian. I just got in it. No, you didn't. You've been in it. You bragging like you've been in it for years. I have. I've had a trust for 2 years now. I had a trust for 3 years now, but I haven't identified my successor. That's how you know you have a job mentality. Trustees immediately in our program, when you come through trustee training, that's what the program is focused on. It's preparing the successors. You don't want anyone involved initially until we identify, so we can identify successors. We want to identify successors. How are we going to be able to identify a successor if we don't have the mentality right first? Are you with a trustee mentality first, or are you, oh, I got a job and I got a trust and I'm trying to quit my job so I can be a job trustee? Oh man, Trust Christian, why are you going like this today? Is this really how it's got to be? First of all, we've done enough consultations. We've had enough conversations to hear it. You don't need to say, oh, Trust Christian, I got on the line with you today and I just decided to say I have a trust, because you know what I'm talking about. But the IRS, I'm a tighten up for them. Sure you are. I'm going to tighten up for my neighbors. Yeah, because you own your house and your neighbors know you are owning your house. Your neighbors know you're buying your car. Your friends know you buying your car. Your friends know you own your car. Right, because you didn't correct your speech. Because you're around them and they own everything, or they're purporting that they own everything and they're in debt just like most people that are in the public, that are dependent on public job mentality remedies. We had to talk today. We look forward to the trustees that have gone through the training and know what time it is. They listen to these episodes through and through. We got one of the highest, we got a really high watch time at the vault. So we know people, this isn't music over here. This isn't music on your ears. Oh, Trust Christian, we want you to entertain us, Trust Christian. We want you to talk that funny stuff. We want you to tell us what you want us to hear. We want you to tell us that there's a free lunch. That, guess what, Trust Christian? I'm going to get in trust. Something that's supposed to be for generational wealth. And I'm going to learn it at a snail's pace. It's almost supposed to be free. Isn't it free, Trust Christian in the Vault? Why can't I learn trusteeship for free, Trust Christian in the Vault? Why can't I learn trusteeship for free, Trust Christian in the Vault? I just want to buy a trust. I just want to buy a contract. I don't want to really learn to Trust Christian Vault. We're deep into the episode. We know who's listening right now. I don't want to really learn trusteeship, Trust Christian, because that means I can't have a consumer mentality anymore. I want to be a consumer, Trust Christian in the Vault. What do you mean the population? 98% of the population is a consumer, Trust Christian in the Vault. I don't want to really perpetuate wealth, Trust Christian in the Vault. Because when I do that, I become a creator. Full creator status. When I do that, Trust Christian Vault, I'm a co-creator. Trust Christian Vault, creating with other families. The Federal Reserve dollars that we use, Trust Christian Vault, I don't want to use the Rockefeller habits, Trust Christian Vault. We don't want to use weekly trust meetings for the family estate like the Rockefellers, Trust Christian Vault. Why? Because we ain't organized. We don't trust each other. Our own family don't trust each other. My family won't come on the trust line, Trust Christian Vault, because they want to watch TV. They wanted to watch the draft. I had to watch. Man, what else did they had to watch? You say, we look at it and we say, wow, How you want to be in trusteeship? You don't have a 1 hour meeting out of 160 hours in a week. How do you not have an hour meet? How do you not have a 30-minute meeting? How? Why? That was a good one. Why don't they? Because they ain't been programmed to have it. They've been programmed to not trust each other. Oh my. What do you mean programmed? A TV programming. Radio programming. You want us to continue? Well, repeat it. TV programming, radio programming. We have to program ourselves for success in trusteeship. We have to program ourselves into the own not to control everything mentality. Trust Christian, own not to control everything mentality. Why? Because we're we think about it, we don't want to say there's opposing force. What we say is that have you been programmed in to own everything? Have you been programmed to, oh, I own my house, I own my car, and then they can foreclose on you? Oh, I could own my house, own my car, but they could use property taxes on you, and it's gone in a generation. Even if you paid off the mortgage, do you hear how the system is about educating yourself to protect your assets? Oh no, Trust Christian, I gotta go to the game, man. I gotta go to the game. The game. This is what they ask us about. Oh no, Trust Christian. You don't Why are you saying it like that, Trust Christian? Why are you saying it? Why can't we watch the game and in conjunction build our family estate? Because it's about a trade-off for time. You're either gonna give your time to the job and learn something there, or you're gonna learn something in trusteeship and learn something there. Trust Christian, man. Look, I stopped talking to people. I cut people off, Trust Christian involved. It's just me over here by myself. I feel isolated. I'm kind of going crazy. I'm by myself. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to talk to. I got to reach out for a consultation because I am over here by myself with this trust information for my family estate. They reach out and they say that. Okay. They say, oh, Trust Christian involved. I am lonely with this trust information, Trust Christian involved. I got to find people that want to learn it. I got to get around people that want to learn it, that are learning it, that know it. Oh, yeah? You got to lean into your education. You already doubled down on the smart decision. But when you're around failures, the people that don't have their assets in trust, you're around failures, the people that are talking about that they own a business. And we'll make this one more point. We have worked with celebrities that will tell you that they own a business and they're in trusteeship. So just to set the record straight for y'all that think, oh man, I'm going to listen to these people on the outside and they're telling us that they own it and they're successful. But they don't. They're in trusteeship. And you just don't know it. Because they're not going to give up their position in the public. I'm doing it by myself, Trust Christian Vote. I need to associate. Then we tell y'all about the workshops. We share trustees the workshops. We share with trustees to reach out for one-on-one so we can provide resources for you to support you in your trustee training. But this is the thing. It's the speed of the information. How fast are you getting the information? How fast are you implementing the information? How fast can you get done what you say you wanted to get done in trusteeship? Oh, I just wanted to protect my assets. It's protecting your asset. First of all, when you're in trusteeship, it's like practicing law. It's a practice. You don't just do it one time. It's a practice. You keep doing it. That should make it easier for trustees because now it goes back to training. It goes back to learning. And that's what we learned when we went to this conference last year, and we're going back again this year, and we thought about how we sat there just boiling. And you say, when is my time, man? When is my time? You sit here and you say, oh man, I got a job, man. I'm looking to learn this information so I could be free. So I could be free for my family. So I could be a multimillionaire. So I could have some excess amount of money. So I'm not swimming in debt. So I could make sure that I feel good. So I could feel good about passing along something to my family estate. So I can go to sleep and rest my head at night with peace of mind knowing that I got excess amounts of cash for the family estate. So we can make sure that we got our children and our grandchildren's education paid for. And then we get on the line with trustees and we talk about investing in hospitals so you don't have to sit in the emergency room and it's doofus test. I wonder if I gave a hospital $50 or $100,000, will I sit in the ER? Did you ever give 5, 10, 20, 30, 100,000? No. So how would you know if you gave 100? What difference would it make? You see the donor wall. People just don't know how to work with them properly. That's why you educate yourself over at the vault. The vault. It's real simple. You're in trusteeship, you invest in your education. The family and state invest in your education to make sure that you don't work for money and that money works for you. Because the Federal Reserve was started by families, started by families, Rockefellers, and there are many other families. And what we will share with you is that these families have best practices. We've shared with families in the trustee training that there are habits that you have to adopt in trusteeship or you will fail. This sector is based off of best practices. Just like people say, oh, I want to be in trusteeship and common law. I want to be in common law trusteeship. Well, if you want to be in common law trusteeship, our rules and laws have been pretty concurrent for hundreds of years. And even Supreme Court cases, they are what the sector is based off of, the jurisdiction is based off of. And for that reason, most of those laws haven't changed. Why? Because the cases, and they haven't been overruled or changed in 50 to 100 years. It's not about common sense, Trust Christian. Is it about common sense? I'm supposed to get it that easy? You think it's supposed to be that easy? You think I'm just supposed to know what you, because you say it, Trust Christian? About? No, we just mentioned that it comes from common law. The thing that people say is based off Supreme Court decisions in the states. Trustees, they focus on the law. They focus on creating rules. They focus on their role as a trustee, how to improve it, how to find better trustees, how to surround themselves with better trustees. At a job, you can't dictate who you work with. At a job, you can't dictate who you work with. In trusteeship, you completely dictate who you work with. In trusteeship, because it's a vote. Some trustees come to us. We got a bunch of trustees actually that are a bunch of families, and so would they have that challenge? Some of them may have that challenge where because there's multiple people, sometimes a decision may not work in your favor, quote unquote. But is it in your favor, or is it in the favor of what you felt was or thought was in the best interest of the trust that you're managing and what you're voting in interest of? So it's not about yourself. It's not about a job. It's not about a salary. It's not about an income. It's about the family and the beneficiaries. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening, replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listening, and replay. You're now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, know nothing, control everything. Please type into the chat where you're listening live, listen, replay from. Let people know where you're listening live and listening and replay from. This is the Vault, episode 677, Sunday Trustee Training, Job versus Trustee. It's real simple, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for tuning in live, listen, replay. This is always going to be really simple. Trusteeship is simple because we're going to share with you the laws that we're operating under or on. Whereas when people go into public with a job, they don't really know. They don't have. And we're not talking about everyone in a negative way. We're talking about what the sector is for. It's to allow an individual to show up, do some certain task, and go home. There are jobs that will say they don't pay overtime. There are jobs that will say we won't pay certain amounts of overtime. Why? Because we're in an era now where it doesn't pay to be from, it doesn't pay to do the over and beyond. But that's a lie. So the culture's been dumbed down into working less than 40 hours a week for their family estate. Now it's, oh man, I can't read a book for my family estate. That's the least you could do. Did you transfer a property into the family estate this month? No. This week? No. Did you grow the assets of the family estate this week? No. So how is it you gonna sit here and say that you're doing something for the family estate? No. This is what some people when they get in trusteeship, they think because they in trust, because they're a trustee, they grow in the family estate. Well, I didn't lose anything this week, Trust Christian. Yes, you did. You lost time and you lost the productive ability to learn something new for the family estate. It's a habit. Just like you are in the habit of protecting the asset every day, it has to have what? It has to come with a growth mindset. Otherwise, you're sitting on assets. And you cannot sit on assets in trusteeship. Otherwise, 2 generations from now, it will be gone. It is a 70% plus failure rate. Oh, Trust Christian, you think you could just quote a number like that? Can you verify that? Google it. That's what people want to do, right? Go do your research. Then you would study and know, wow, dag, man, 2 generations from now, if I work my butt off right now, 70% chance of my family not having anything in 2 generations. What do I need to do to avoid that? Well, we're giving it to you. Best practice. Best practice says you're going to learn something every day. No doubt about it for the rest of your life. Why? Because if you went to public school and you learned information that said own something, it's a chance that you're going to fail. Why? Because there's a mentality when you go into doing things as a trustee that you have, and then there's a mentality people have when they go to a job. Simple. But as far as a trustee, trustees have a very specific mindset, which is it's not about them. They take bias out of the situation. A lot of times they learn how to detach emotionally from the decisions that they have to make. We want us to repeat. We're going to repeat it 2 more times. Trustees learn that they have to emotionally detach from the decisions that they make. Trustees that are successful learn how to take a deep breath and they detach from the decisions that they have to make. At a job, people can be frustrated. They can stew in misery. They can stew in pain. They can stew in hurt. They can stew in not getting a raise. In trusteeship, if you want to give the family estate a raise or grow the family estate, you set the goal and you work for it. In a job, it's only a certain amount of overtime you can get. It's a fixed income. See, trustees understand we don't live under a fixed income. We live under a growth income mindset. We live under an opportunistic mindset. So we don't think about, oh man, what we don't have. We think about what we have and we build on it. We think about what we have, our blessings, our lessons. The lessons are a blessing. People think they need the money. No, you need to learn how to make the money to make the money. You think you got something successful? You think you're successful because you got in trust? What happens when you are gone and the money has to make money? Do you have a system in place? We have overemphasized this at the vault. You have to have a system in place. I got to trust Christian, but you don't have a trust system in place. I got to trust Christian in the vault. I got to trust. I have a trust, but you don't got a trust system. You don't even have a team. You're not even thinking about a team. You're thinking about yourself because you don't have a system mentality, because you got a job mentality. How do you fix that? You reprogram yourself. You get up every day, somewhere throughout the day, you're learning something about trusteeship. You listening to the vault. You reaching out to one of the resources we put you in contact with. You studying the training videos. We get on the line with a trustee. What did you study for trusteeship today? Nothing. Right. Now you know why you're going to be a part of the 70% that doesn't pass along the wealth from Gen 2 to Gen 3. Facts. Oh man, I think I can avoid that because I'm kind of a wily kind of guy, a gal. I'm wily. We can just wing it. We could wing it. And then you got the trustees over at the vault, and then you got trustees that we sit in a room with and that we have trains with, and we're focused on putting a system in place. It's a private education system, so we don't have to send our children to the public school education and give them misinformation about owning things, about mortgages, about financing, and about not learning how to set goals properly. Not being a divine creator, trust Christian in the vault. I'm going to be up under the public school system that tells me there's a free lunch, there's a half off on lunch, and then whoever else that felt like waking up and earning it today, they pay for it. They sacrifice on the front end this generation for the second and third and fourth and for however long. They actually keep it. See, people don't really believe in generational wealth. It's a joke. It's a fugazi. Because if it was real for them, they would dedicate their life to it. Like we have at the vault. You got to be all in. Not talking about, oh yeah, I'm still going to go to my job next week because they paying me. And if I lose my job tomorrow, how am I going to build the trust? Do you hear it? If I lose my job tomorrow, how am I going to build the family estate, trust Christian in the vault? That's a job mentality. Trustee says, you know what? That was probably the best thing to happen for me. Why? Because they read Think and Grow Rich, and it said that I need to find the seed of equivalent benefit in every failure. I need to find the seed of equivalent of benefit in every failure. So they're okay with making a mistake. I need to find the seed of equivalent benefit. Trustee mentality. Oh man, trust Christian in the vault, man, it's hard, man. I got so much going on, man. I just don't have time. Right. You're not in control of your life. Do you hear that? And trustees, the first thing you want to do when you're in trusteeship, or most trustees that are successful, what do? We know how to plan out our time. Despite the fact that we know we're not in control of time, time is going to go regardless. We're not in control of time, but we learn how to put some things in place and just implement some habits, do some activities that actually benefit us in moving forward with our life that day. That's all it is. We do our best to keep it very simple at the vault. We do our best to keep it simple as a senior trustee. We do our best to eliminate those distractions, those things that don't provide the long-term equitable value for us. Oh yeah. Yep. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Please type into the chat. Shout out to Trenton, New Jersey. Appreciate Trenton, New Jersey always having up north tune in live, listen and replay. Trenton, New Jersey. Thank you for tuning in live, listen and replay. Apostle High Stakes. Feel free to type into the chat where you're tuning in live. We always appreciate everybody letting others know where we got people listening live or listening to replay from. Ladies and gentlemen, it's getting a lot easier to do this at the vault now because we see so many, they not even studying now. There's no way y'all can tell us that y'all gonna build generational wealth and you're not studying. We just want to make that very clear every day at that, especially if you're first gen. That's a responsibility that we have for the second and third gen is to learn something new for the second and third gen every single day. Otherwise, everything that we don't learn and pass along through some previous manual that's specifically given to them, that's another mistake that they're going to have to make. But somehow you got this mentality because see in a job they tell you you're going to learn on your own. In trusteeship, no, what we do is we learn from other people's mistakes. We read case law so we can learn from other people's successes. See in trusteeship, we learn what we use what's called wisdom. And wisdom is when you learn from other people's mistakes. Because they went through the experience first. They have the experience and it may or may not be a success or failure. We learned that. We learned that in trusteeship. Job mentality, oh man, I make a mistake. Hopefully I don't get fired. It's a fear-based mentality. Trusteeship, we actually encourage you to make mistakes. We don't encourage you to lose money. Why? Because in our sector, we do encourage you to use the prudent man rule. We do encourage you to be a prudent investor. Just Christian Devoe, I've been programmed to work so hard in a job. It's not that easy to just come a trustee because when I try to become a trustee, I got all these conflicting things going on that it's just challenging. It's emotional, it's physical. I feel you hear it? And what we share with trustees is just, you're ready? Take a deep breath. And let's find out what the vision looks like now. Let's start over in life right now with this fresh, clean slate. Because you think you got a fresh, clean slate when you get in trusteeship. Oh, trust Christian, I got to trust. I'm good. I'm free. I don't need to talk to you no more. I don't need to go do a weekly consultation. I'm not going to reach out to you. I was reaching out every week for to get in trust, right? Right. But I'm not going to reach out no more every single week, every single month, because I got it. Right. So we're going to go ahead and share with y'all how we operate at the vault, the ones that's deep of us, trust Christian, really, and the other seniors. First of all, we talk to our mentors weekly. You're not going to tell us that, oh, you don't talk to your mentors weekly and you're successful. That's not how it works. But we'll let everyone else say what they want to say and we'll continue to do what we do. We're sitting in a room with billionaires. We're perfectly fine with that. Trillionaires, as far as their assets under management with their company, we're perfectly fine with that, ladies and gentlemen. It comes from association, 100%. It comes from the study and it definitely comes from the association. When you're around people that are in a position that you say you want to be in or are looking to be in or are in, then it's easy to be around those people and have those conversations. Your life isn't overwhelmed. Once again, we talk to those individuals at least once a week, especially when we have trustees that'll say, oh, I'm out here by myself, trust Christian. No, nobody in my family know about the trust stuff, and they don't even want to have a meeting once a week. Right, so you counsel with someone because you counsel, and you move forward from there every single week till you get it. And even still, trustees say, did they get it? Trust Christian involved? Nah, they didn't get it. They think they got it. Why? Because if you really got it, you would understand. Still to this day, Trust Christian involved has talked to some of the same trust mentors that we've had for over 4+ years. Like if you went to college, you still got them. Why? Why? Because there's not too many people in the private anyways. If you say you want to be in the 5%, that means half the 5% of people you ever come in contact with are going to be able to help you and have a real conversation about private trusteeship. That's the facts. If you want to be in the 1%, 5%, you're only about 1 to 5% of the people that you come in contact with in life are going to be able to have that conversation. Are you comfortable with that now? Are you okay with that now? And are you making it a point to proactively get out and associate with those people so you can dive deep and learn how they move, how to work with these families? We always share with families. Families in trust work with families in trust. It's as simple as that. No, Trust Christian, don't tell me that. Families in trust work with other families. Yeah, I don't want to know. Trust Christian involved. If you're not in trust, we're ready to buy you out and move you out. You're a liability. You think you can own something still. If we were to ask you, you got a job. I got a job. If you can utter that out of your mouth, we'll buy you out. You're not a trustee. Trustees don't own things. Trustees don't have a job. We're a servant. We're a steward. We're a manager. We're a servant. People want to play with it though. Oh man. Because they don't believe. That's what people used to say to us. They don't believe. Well, we passed that. It ain't about believing. They just can't see it for themselves. They think it's a joke. Because if you really feel that trust Christian involved in the vault and private family estate and trusteeship is going to be your meal ticket. It's going to be your answer to the prayer. It's going to be the thing you've been waiting for. You know what I mean? Trustees reach out to us all the time and they'll say, oh, Trust Christian, I was looking for something like you and we found it. We literally are getting ready to post a testimonial with a trustee and they're going to tell y'all, Trust Christian, oh, Trust Christian. We'll literally record them, but we wish we could have recorded them when they said it. And then we're going to get them to come back on the line and say, first of all, they said, Trust Christian, you're one of few people on the internet that we dealt with, that 5% that actually did what they said they do. And we're okay with that, but we're aware of that too. Man, you did. You kept your word on a lot of stuff you said. Exactly. On the stuff you said. Exactly. Because when you come into the private sector as a trustee, it is about integrity. And that was something that we really learned in business. In business and trusteeship, you got to live by integrity. Whereas a job, you can just show up to a job and call in sick and not be sick. In trusteeship, you are the senior trustee. It's hard to call in sick to trustee calls. It's hard to call into a trustee call. Oh man, I'm sick, Trust Christian in the vault. Yeah, so your family estate just took a week off because you didn't get well, because you didn't protect your health. In trusteeship, the trust is to protect your health. Oh, Trust Christian, everybody gets sick. What are you talking about? No, they don't. The 5% of us, we are focused on preventive health. What era are you in? Are you focused on healthcare or preventive health? Those are two different things. Are you focused on medicine or are you focused on preventive health? We, as trustees, have an obligation to the trust to actually take care of our health. And the trust has an obligation to take care of the trustee's health. Why? Because if you, the trustee, go down, guess what? If the insurance isn't in place, quote unquote, private family banking ain't in place properly, guess what? The trust is going to fail, like we said, in 2 generations, 76% chance of failure. That's a fact. That's statistic. It's going to fail. Why? Because they don't have best practices to protect the trustees' health. The 5% that's ruling the world, they doing their best to stay healthy. While the other 90% of the population, they okay with just letting their health go to the trash. That's the job mentality. Oh man, 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 I'm gonna cut some corners on my health, man, cause, all right, well, cool. Now you know why the family estate may not be perpetuated from one generation to the next. Because it doesn't have a system mentality. We have to create a successful system, not a system of keep making the same mistake from one generation to the next. We know this is a hard conversation maybe for some people to hear, but this is a conversation that some people have been thirsting for. And that's why this episode is a little bit longer than what we've done in a while, 50 minutes, and we appreciate it. Thank everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Thank you for tuning live, listening to replay. Once again, always appreciate you. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to hearing from you all. Peace and joy.